as long as you're waiting for somebody to rescue you, you're lost. It seems to have become a mass attitude to just sit down passively and wait for a savior, for a strong leadership figure that could save you, your little world, your country, the whole planet. It doesn't matter. But this attitude of not being an active participant anymore in the creation of experience, but to wait for somebody to sort things, and in the meantime to complain and to moan about how it is to experience intense fears and anxiety and worry, everything that you are being programmed to fear right now, right? And you don't see it. You don't see it. This is, for January 2025, one of the main themes, one of the main inspirations that I can share with you, that it's about time to take the power back. Because this feeling of powerlessness is so strong on the planet right now. So many people feel so powerless. It's understandable, but this is not going to solve the situation the way you want it solved. And nobody will come and rescue you. Nobody. Because why? The ones who actually feel powerful and act powerfully are not the ones who care about your interests, who care about what you actually want, who care about saving you. As nice of a thought as it may seem, but that's not the case. And I know I'm speaking a little bit provocatively, but this is also an energetic flavor that I want to use, because sometimes we need this little push to view things from a different perspective. Sometimes that's what's needed, and obviously we're being given this in the most loving way, in the most supportive way. So there's the sun coming in. We take this as a positive sign, because the message actually for 2025 is you get to be, no matter how powerless you feel right now, you get to be an active part, or take an active part again in the creation of experience on planet Earth. Absolutely. Like the heading that I see over the whole year 2025 is self-empowerment. Self-empowerment. And the reason why I'm being shown this is because underlying this is a current, and you possibly know this if you're sensitive, is a current in the opposite direction. It's about creating powerlessness. That's where forces are bringing us. And this is why so many people feel so powerless right now, because that's what's actually being pushed onto humans, is the feeling of being powerless. And many are stuck right now in that. And then they hope for the savior. They hope for some kind of salvation out of this, some rescuer to come and aid. And this is not what's going to happen. And as always, we get to look at everything, every experience as, what's the lesson? What's the teaching? What can I learn from this? And what we can learn from this in January 2025 and beyond is that we question, why do we feel so powerless? Where does this come from? And I can tell you in one sentence right now where this comes from. Because we're being programmed into this. You see everywhere in the media anxiety and fear-driven statements. Everywhere, no matter whether they are true or false. This is almost not even relevant anymore in our society at the moment. It's just who has the best arguments, who gets the point across in the best way. whether they're lying or speaking the truth, doesn't even seem to matter anymore, right? And yes, it is a difficult situation, but to sit there on your couch, to complain and moan about it, to hope for someone to come and change it, is not the answer. It's not going to change anything. It's not making it better. Because what you're actually doing is you're giving it more and more of your energy, which is your attention. These negative emotions that are being brought up in you by fear messages out there, by you're warned about this, be careful about that, prepare for this, and so on and so forth. This is all there, done deliberately to hold you in a place of inability to exert your power. Because then you're controllable. And to complain about, there are others who want to control me. And I hope that some good guy will come along, or some good extraterrestrial race, or some good spirit, or I don't know, any positive helper and take me out of the situation and change it for me. This is not a solution, because number one, it's not gonna happen, because the lesson in this here is about self-empowerment. Like, if we all just had to wait for the right savior to come along, what would be the point in even being here? Like, what would be the point in you living your life? Your life is so extremely important right now, because your life co-creates the experience for everyone. So we get to take back our power, our reins, and it starts, I always say this, you hear me say this a lot, it starts within us. It starts with us looking and getting to know ourself, our true self, our false selves, everything. It starts with examining your thoughts. Are they mine? Are they indoctrinated into me, programmed into me, suggested to me, and I just absorb them as truth? And this is why I'm in this state of powerlessness, of stuckness. Or are they actually my thoughts? Because if I follow my thoughts lead me into expansion, into what I want. What I want is, I want to experience a joyful life on the planet. I want to be able to say at the end of this life, it was beautiful here. This world was beautiful. That's what I want to be able to say. And I want you to feel this. Do you want to be able to say this? My life, this time on earth, this planet, was beautiful. And I depart with that feeling. And that's important. Because how do we get to that? How do we get to say this at the end of our life? By starting to create this experience now. And not by hoping somebody would make life nice for us and beautiful for us. We have been conditioned as kids to believe that the adults know how the world works, and they have put everything in place, obviously, like the generations that have gone before, that where we arrive into. And so we assume that this is kind of how things are, not realizing that there comes a point when we're the ones creating it for the rest, for those to come, and for ourselves. It's us. And if we keep feeling stuck in low consciousness, powerlessness, low frequencies of fear and negativity and blaming and judging, we recreate this again and again for the next generations. We don't give them the best then soil to work with, to grow this garden here into the Garden Eden, into something beautiful, paradise-like. We give them rocks and sand to like grow plants on. A lot of cactuses probably, yeah? So it's up to us. That's what I'm saying. It's up to us. Nobody is going to do it for us, and nobody will rescue us. And this is the good news, because if we have the power to change things, even if you don't know how to right now, the how-to will follow. I can guarantee you this, 1000%. If you make a decision now, no going back, no option B, C, D, you make a decision now. This is what I want. This is what I want to live. This is what I want to experience. This is what I want to contribute to. This is what I want to explore. The energies and experiences of freedom and of joy and of self-empowerment and of love and of sharing. If this is what you want, and you make a decision to embody that, to live that, to explore that, not knowing how right now, then this decision is made. And then you know yourself, probably from experience. If you've ever made a decision clearly and then communicated it clearly, it's like, that's my decision. People didn't question anymore. It's like, that's a decision. Okay, it's going to happen. And the same for yourself. Once you know you were really clear about something, that there was no plan B, C, or D, this was the decision and this was going to happen, you made it happen. Even when you didn't know how. The how will follow. So oftentimes we justify to ourselves, I don't know how, so I'm just staying here, sitting on the couch, waiting passively for someone else to kind of know how. Right? It's like an excuse that the ego gives to itself so that it doesn't have to actually get up and become an active creator. And by becoming an active creator, what I mean is it starts within you. You need to explore yourself, your thoughts, and if they're untrue, if they're negative, if they're judgmental, if they're anything but love and freedom and peace and joy, whatever it is you want to embody from your true state of beingness, right? If they're anything else, then look at them and requalify them. Say, I disqualify the false thoughts and I look for the true thoughts and for the true emotions accompanying those thoughts, for my true beingness to emerge, which cannot be contained. What can be contained is your ego identification, your self-identification, like self-concept identification, because that can be instilled with fear. And fear makes someone controllable. We need to understand this principle because it is everywhere right now. And this is why the masses feel so powerless. Because they still listen to the messages that are false, that keep them in fear and in powerlessness, so that they won't stand up and create what they want to create, because it's not what your elites want to create. It is not. We've seen it. We've seen it for thousands of years. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. For thousands of years, we've seen it on the planet, and it's time to change. And we're the ones to create the change. We cannot escape that responsibility. What others might want you to do is to numb your feeling of powerlessness and desperation and frustration and anger and sadness and depression. They offer you distraction. Look around in the world what's happening. Look at the amount of online time. Like, how much time are people spending with media in one form or another, with one distraction or another? Do you think that's coincidental? That's one way that we don't have to feel our powerlessness, because we can actually escape into the distraction that, again, somebody else offered us. We need to start to question why. Why? What for? Where is this leading us? And where it has been leading us, voila, here we are. This is where we are. Is this how we want to continue? And if the answer is no, then let's change it. You play your, and even if it's in your eyes, just a tiny small part, you play your part in the creation of freedom, in the creation of non-judgment, in the creation of love and peace on the planet right now. You play your part by expressing your true beingness in your life right now. No matter whether you think you have a great expanded, how would I say, area of expression, or whether you say, well, my life is very small, I have only a few contacts, whether you do it in that context, it doesn't matter. Because what it comes down to is your amount of light that you emanate and that you send out. This light is, to break it down, is your inner love and wisdom, the state of your inner beingness in love and wisdom. And this sends out light. Whether you think you're only sending it out to 2 people because you only have 2 people in your life, or whether you are a speaker on stages with thousands of people, or whether millions of people listen to you and you emanate that light, it doesn't matter. It's about the light. It's not about the amount of people. It's about the light, because that light streams into the collective consciousness on the planet. And that light is absorbed by the collective field and by Earth. It's being used to elevate and live from a higher state of consciousness. And this brings hope. So no matter how powerless you feel and how much there is going on in terms of creating more experiences of you feeling powerless, this is only the underlying current. The true heading of this year is self-empowerment. This is your right. This is what you can do. And also, if you feel like there is an impatience, or like you want things to change quicker than they do, right? Humanity to move into consciousness faster. I want to remind you that this wanting for everything to be faster is natural, because you also want your brothers and sisters to stop suffering. And we can only stop to suffer when we become conscious, when we become aware. So you want that. So naturally, the sooner the better. But it keeps you in a state of suffering. If you want things not to happen in 1,000 years or 500 years, like to really change is what I mean, for a humanity to be really, really positively oriented and service to others oriented and vibrating in love and peace and harmony. If you want this to happen within the next 10 years or 3 years or even 3 months or 6 weeks, because it's unbearable how it is, this will put you in a state of suffering, meaning in a low vibrational state. So it's not about where we arrive. There will not be this arrival point where you go, now it's done. Yes, there will be points of completion of certain lessons, completion of certain cycles, but then the next cycle will begin. The learning never ends. The expansion never ends. And what we expand into is our choosing. So if you want to expand into more joy and happiness, do it, and do it today, because the state that we live in today dictates our tomorrow. We need to get this. This is our power. The power is now. I'm going to love you and leave you for today, and we'll talk again next time if you want to.